Hi, everyone. Welcome to the PoliticAL update with me, Alexandra Acker-Lyons. I pay attention to the political news so you don't have to. This is the advice I give my millionaire clients, but you get it for free. It is Saturday, January 10th. This week felt like a year. Happy 2026. It is an election year. We are off with a bang, off with lots and lots going on. So hope you had time to rest up over the holidays. We are going to need everyone's energy. Okay, candidate news. The huge news over the last week has been out of Minnesota, where Governor Tim Walz has decided not to run for a third term amidst this huge controversy over some social services fraud. The right-wing influencer world and Trump world has really taken to this, even though this has been going on for 5 years. Like, the Biden administration prosecuted people, Tim Walz's administration prosecuted people. This is not a new story, but the right wing just kind of latched onto it and will not let go, in large part because it involves Somali Americans and Somali immigrants, and government fraud and government waste. And so it just became an untenable situation for Governor Walz. He felt like he was putting the state in danger of no longer having a Democratic governor. And so I give him a ton of credit for stepping aside. I think this was probably a very, very hard decision, because running for a third term in general is like a hard thing to decide to do. And, obviously just, 16 months ago, he was riding high as the potential next vice president. So I don't think we have seen the last of Tim Walz. I will come back to talking about Minnesota in a minute, but we are hearing that Amy Klobuchar, the incredibly popular senator from Minnesota, is very likely to run for this seat. I would expect things to move very quickly here, and I would expect her to make a formal announcement one way or the other in the next week or so. But we have a deep bench in Minnesota, and with Walz stepping back, I think our chances of keeping this seat are very, very good. We also, I'm going to put in the notes the New York Times story from about a month ago that talks about kind of how all this fraud happened, and then how it became like this right wing thing. It's a really good write-up. Other big news, get ready, is Mary Peltola is going to run for the United States Senate from Alaska. She is going to announce next week. This will immediately catapult that race into a tier 1 Senate race. She will not have a primary. She's facing Dan Sullivan. Mary Peltola, of course, was elected as Alaska's at-large representative. They only have one member of the U.S. House, so she has won statewide before. She was debating whether or not she wanted to run for governor or for Senate, and she told me that she just really felt like she had to do everything she could to fight back in this moment, and so decided to run for Senate. So get ready to give her some money, because that is related to, we are starting to get the fourth quarter reporting fundraising numbers coming in. They are not technically due until January 15th, but a lot of people release their numbers early if they had a really good quarter. And once again, men are dramatically outraising women. In some cases, this is because women are in primaries. So like in Minnesota and Michigan and Illinois, the female candidates are in competitive primaries where there's more than one woman, which has made my life kind of complicated. Whereas in places like Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, New Hampshire, there is not a primary and there's a male candidate. So go to Women Count, pick some candidates and give to some women, because in particular, women of color and non-incumbent women face much steeper paths to raising the kind of money that they need. Okay, other political news. It's been a couple of weeks since we have talked. Obviously, we toppled the dictator in Venezuela during that time, which seems like old news now. It's just crazy. And I think we will obviously continue to see lots of stories come out about this. And one thing I think that's important to note is generally the American public does not care about foreign affairs. They care if we have soldiers on the ground, which thus far we don't really in Venezuela. But I think we have to keep tying this back to Trump's corruption and cronyism. A bunch of oil companies and oil executives are going to get rich off of another country's natural resources because we went in and took out their very unpopular and deeply problematic, don't get me wrong, leader. But we kept the rest of his regime there. And we're just like making all these deals with these corrupt people about how we're going to steal their oil. It is bananas. So keep tying it back to kind of this culture of corruption, Trump willing to kind of sell anything, do anything to help him and his friends get richer while doing nothing to help prices go down. And then, of course, the incredibly tragic shooting of a woman in Minnesota by ICE officers. There was another shooting in Portland by ICE officers. This is kind of one of those potential moments in history that we will look back on and say, oh yeah, this was a real tipping point moment. This shooting happened less than a mile from where George Floyd was murdered. Minneapolis, man, you are going through it. So, a couple of things. One, I gave everyone in my family an ice whistle in their Christmas stocking, and it is important for everyone, in particular white women, to be stepping out and speaking out. This was obviously a white woman who was killed. She's actually from Colorado, so my feed has been kind of filled with stories about her, and it's just an incredibly tragic, preventable situation. And as many people have said, it was kind of inevitable that this was going to happen. I don't think we've seen the end of it. So hopefully you can make some time to go to one of the anti-ICE protests this weekend. You can go to mobilize.org to find one. Or find, a local organization that you like. They are probably participating in one. It is important that we all speak out in this moment. And my shout out of the week goes to Congressman Steny Hoyer, who announced this week that he will be retiring from Congress. He is the longest serving Democrat in Congress. For a long time. He was the number two. He was, either the majority leader or the majority whip back in 2001, 2002, when I was working for Congresswoman Nita Lowey, who was the chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. I would go to lots of events that Congressman Hoyer hosted. He was an incredibly nice man. He also was a former College Democrats leader, as was I, and he would talk about how that kind of helped him get started. And he's just an amazing person and public servant, and I am happy that he is taking some time away from politics and letting new leadership step up, and deeply grateful for his many years of service. Okay, that wraps us up. I'll talk to you next week. Thanks.